see why we did that. We wanted to understand the entire context, other than cut that question off that Senator Franken had. It was a valid question, but it was done in the context of saying, are you kind of acting as a surrogate in your role as a surrogate for the Trump campaign? Well, you know the drill. And that was the context in which the senator at the time, now the Attorney General, was answering that. Is it a distinction? Is it worth mentioning? Of course, the Attorney General tried to clarify that as well. Lindsey Graham, on a short time ago with our Shepard Smith, seemed to be signaling that difference. But the finest legal mind I know is with us right now to clarify. Judge Napolitano. Judge, what do you make of that?
Well, I'm glad you ran the entire question and the entire answer, because it shows the context, as you say, of the environment at that moment. It appears from the question, from the answer, and from the Attorney General's explanation just a few minutes ago, that he interpreted the question to mean, did you talk to the Russians as a surrogate for the campaign about the campaign? And the answer was no. The question wasn't, did you ever talk to Russians at any time during the campaign? Now, the public can decide for themselves, because you just ran the entire thing, if the answer was truthful. And if the then Senator Sessions' interpretation of the question was a fair one on the basis of the context. I happen to think it was, but the public will decide for themselves. This is not the type of case where a person is prosecuted for perjury, because in order to succeed in a perjury prosecution, you have to exclude all probable and reasonable lawful interpretations, and the one we've just given is a probable and reasonable lawful one. Should he have said, but I did talk to this Russian ambassador. It was during the campaign, but I wasn't a surrogate for the campaign at that time, and it had nothing to do with the campaign. That would have been the full disclosure that is.
But when wasn't he a surrogate, right? I mean, you could argue maybe not, you know.
Well, at the moment, I think, according to him, the Russian ambassador was meeting with him in his capacity as a member of the Senate Armed Services
The one
Committee.
in his office. The one in July in Cleveland at the convention, that was a whole other matter. All of these guys would try to pepper you, right?
Correct.
But how can you not remember, Judge, I mean, or recall, it's one thing when ambassadors are left and right. This is the ambassador of Russia.
Yeah.
This is the country in the middle of all this back and forth. What are they doing? How are we getting this information? And much of that came out in the details of all this and all that intelligence later, I grant you. But it's not as if you're meeting with, you know, the representative from Botswana.
Understood. Well, one would think that there were notes made. He said he had 3 staff members there. 2 are retired Army colonels. One would think there were notes there. Let me suggest another thing to you, Neil. There is another statute governing here besides perjury, and that statute is misleading Congress. One could actually mislead Congress with a truthful and accurate answer when the answer is incomplete. Because the obligation is different before Congress than before a jury. Before a jury, if you answer truthfully and accurately, yes or no, you don't have to give the explanation. There is no such statute as misleading the jury, but there's a separate statute Congress wrote for people who testified before it. This is the one that Roger Clemens was indicted and tried for, not lying, but misleading.
Interesting.
So that's something.
Is it misleading to leave something like that out?
I'm going to make it even stronger. Is it misleading for a lawyer who is about to become Attorney General of the United States, who is, as a senator, is a member of that very committee, to leave something out?
He would have to know, right, that this kind of stuff would come back. I'm surprised it took as long as it did, but even when I was talking to John Roberts about it, I mean, someone obviously put 2 and 2 together. Wait, I have his date book, his list of meetings, and sure enough, he met with the Russian ambassador in September. The July one, I'm going to leave out there because that's at the convention. It's bedlam and all that. But that one is the one. But conversely, John also pointed out, it's in the senator's office. It's not as if there's going to be some great revelation on government grounds.
And he has 2 or 3 witnesses there. So as one of our colleagues said the other day, I don't remember who, it's almost inconceivable that he would have said, hey, Mr. Ambassador, can you help Trump defeat Hillary? I mean, this would be insane to say that, whether there's a witness there or not.
And you're the lawyer, but, you know, I've listened to you often enough where I think I have a law degree. But isn't that dangerous?
You're the smart one.
That it's inconceivable to me that he would not know that, only a few months he had met with the Russian ambassador. That's not a meeting you forget, right?
Right.
And he could just add on, I met in a capacity as a senior senator of foreign policy matters, armed services matters, national intelligence matters, in my office, not too far from here.
So now he did the absolute right thing by recusing himself.
You think so?
Absolutely, because there's...
Apparently that was in the works before this development.
Apparently
today.
it was, because the standard is, does it look bad? Does it smell?
Right.
Is there the appearance of impropriety? Would a neutral person looking at this say, the FBI can investigate the Trump campaign when their boss was a member of the campaign? Of course not. The boss has to step out. Doesn't mean the FBI can't do its work. Of course it can. It just means the senior Justice Department official to whom the FBI will report on this will not be Jeff Sessions. It'll be the number 2 person who hasn't been confirmed yet and who, interestingly
Is that right?
His hearing is Monday. So you can only imagine what they're going to ask him about.
All right. That's wild stuff. Judge, thank you very, very much. Always good to see you, my friend.
And do you know how smart you are? Because you know the law without having gone to law school.
I did go to law school. I was listening to you for years. How long have we been together? Decades now?
Close to 20 years.
Yeah, my goodness.